3 years before the end, a dead man woke up knowing exactly how cold the world would get. Kazu died in a fire that swallowed an entire industrial complex. But his next breath came in darkness. He gasped on a cold concrete floor. Memories of a future that hadn't happened yet crashing into his skull.
This date, it's 3 years before the freeze. How?
The ice age came back to him in flashes, the grid collapsing, the screaming, the cold that never ended.
3 years. I have 3 years to prepare, and no one will believe me.
He drained every account, hoarding geothermal exchange pumps, military-grade insulation, and solar thermal arrays. He buried it all beneath concrete, a bunker disguised as a failed storage unit. Outside, the cold hit -40. Inside, his bunker stayed at 22 degrees, but no fortress keeps out desperation forever. The screaming at his door would soon begin. For 3 years, Kazu moved through the world like a ghost, collecting the pieces of a future no one else believed in. They called him a prepper, a madman hoarding junk for an apocalypse that would never come. But beneath the concrete floor of that failed storage unit, he built a technological fortress. The world watched the frostbite warnings and called them anomalies, while Kazu stocked his bunker to the ceiling. Every day the forecast dropped. Every night, he worked until his hands bled.
I just need to outlast the skeptics. When the grid fails, they'll understand.
Then, on a windless morning in late autumn, the first permanent snows arrived.
It's starting, exactly as I remember. No going back now.
He sealed the bunker door, the heavy bolts echoing in the concrete silence. Inside, the thermometer held at 22 degrees. His gamble had paid off, but the worst was yet to come. The grid died on a Tuesday, not with a bang, but with a slow brownout that left half the continent in darkness. From his bunker, Kazu watched the collapse through a dozen monitors. Hospitals freezing, cities burning for warmth, and then silence. Outside, the temperature bottomed out at -45, a cold that turned breath to diamond dust and skin to stone.
It's worse than I remembered. So much worse.
For weeks, no one came. Then his exhaust vents, the only warm plume for miles, began to draw attention. First came the scouting parties, small groups who marked the spot. Then the mass of them, 100 desperate souls clawing at his steel door. He listened to their screams through the intercom, their fists like hammers against the metal.
If I let them in, the pumps seize. If I keep them out, they die at my doorstep. What kind of choice is that?
He crunched the numbers. His system could sustain one. For 100, it would fail in days. The screaming outside didn't stop. And Kazu knew, with chilling certainty, that the real test hadn't even begun. Through the intercom, his voice cut through the storm. A deal they could accept, or a death sentence by default.
Who are you? How do you have heat?
I have heat. I have a plan, but I need your hands to build a network that can sustain everyone.
Why should we trust a stranger hiding in a bunker? You could just use us and toss us out.
Because if I don't, we all die. The system can't handle all of you, but if you help me expand it, we survive.
We've lost too many. We'll follow your direction, for now. But if you betray us...
Yeah, if you betray us, I'll be the first to break down that door.
They're desperate. That makes them dangerous. But it's the only way.
And so the deal was struck. Over the radio, Kazu began directing the survivors, scavenging pipes, converting generators, burying lines under the permafrost. The first shovel broke the frozen earth, and the fragile alliance began, built on need, not trust. The survivors spread out through the frozen greenhouse ruins, dragging coils of insulated pipe from under collapsed frames.
We've got 300 meters of pipe. It's not enough, but it's a start.
But while Kazu's attention was on the southern dig, Ren made his move, prying at the bunker door with a crowbar.
Cameras don't lie. He's trying to break in. Of course he is.
Kazu's voice came through the radio, cold as the ice outside. The camp's heat supply is suspended for 24 hours. The one responsible knows why.
You can't do this. We'll freeze.
I can, and I will. Betrayal has a price. If you want warmth, keep your word.
You idiot, Ren. He's the only one who knows this system. Now we all suffer.
That night, the camp huddled in darkness, breath crystallizing in the still air. The lesson hammered into their bones. By morning, the pipes were laid, and the first section of the network hummed with stolen heat. But the wound between them festered beneath the permafrost. 3 nights after Ren's punishment, a child stopped shivering, the first sign of hypothermia taking hold.
Kazu, please. The medical tent is below freezing. We need more heat.
If I give them more, the pump could fail. But if I refuse, a child dies.
He rerouted the flow, sacrificing his own quarters to channel every spare degree to the medical tent. System warnings flashed red. Overload. Temp critical. The pump screamed in protest.
Not enough. It's still not enough. Okay, fine. Take mine.
In his bunker, frost formed on the walls. Kazu wrapped himself in a thin blanket and watched his breath turn white. Outside, the child's breathing steadied, color returning to his lips as the warm air finally flowed.
He's stabilizing, Kazu. You saved him. We owe you.
But the pump's bearings were ground down, and the strain would not be forgotten. The system was living on borrowed time. The main pump seized at 3 in the morning, a screech of tearing metal that echoed through the bunker. When Kazu examined the pump, he found fresh tool marks on the valve, deliberate, precise damage. Security footage from the previous night showed a figure near the pump, then slipping toward Yuki's quarters with something under their arm.
Ren's face on the recording. But why would he frame Yuki? Unless he thought it would buy him a few days.
He confronted Ren in the supply closet, the incriminating wrench held between them.
I didn't sabotage it. She begged me to check the pump. Yuki's the one you can't trust.
Ren told me he'd handle the maintenance. I never touched the pump. Kazu, please. You have to believe me.
Both stories have holes, but accusing Ren without hard proof will tear this settlement apart. I have to wait.
Kazu repaired the pump with his own hands that night, the wrench still in his pocket. The saboteur's identity, a cold knot in his gut. The system stabilized, but the real danger wasn't a failing valve anymore. It was the traitor still breathing his air. They left the bunker at first light, a small team crossing the frozen bridge into the dead city. The crevasse opened without warning, a dark seam in the ice that swallowed Ren mid-step. Kazu threw himself onto the ice, rope looped around his wrist, and caught Ren's wrist just as he slipped into the abyss.
Don't expect me to thank you. This is your fault for leading us out here.
Ren, shut up. He just saved your life. Have some decency.
They found the spare pump assembly in a collapsed factory, half buried under frozen machinery.
This is it. With this, we can keep the district network running for another year.
Yeah, and you'll take all the credit. We're just tools to you, aren't we?
I didn't ask for this, but if you want to survive, you'll learn to see us as a team.
They trudged back in silence, the part in a crate, the air between them colder than the wind. The ambush broke the silence, a half-dozen figures erupting from ice caves, crude weapons raised, their eyes hungry for the crate of technology.
They've been watching us. They want the heating system. They'll kill us all for it.
Kazu grabbed a frayed steam pipe, twisted a valve, and unleashed a scalding cloud that cut between the two groups.
Back off now, or the next blast goes straight into your lungs. You'll suffocate on your own frost.
One lunged at Yuki with a blade, and Ren threw himself in front, taking a deep gash across his forearm.
Ren, why? You are bleeding. Why would you do that?
Just get her to the bunker. I'll hold them off. This doesn't mean I trust you, Kazu.
A flare shot up from the settlement beyond the bridge, and the attackers melted back into the ice, leaving only bloodstains on the snow.
They called us the Warm Fortress. They know exactly what we have. This isn't over.
They limped home with Ren wounded, the part intact. Knowing they weren't the only predators in this frozen world, the main pump screamed and seized during the evening peak load, a cascade of metal fatigue no patch could hide forever.
The spare parts are gone. I can jury-rig a bypass, but it won't handle full output. Rationing is the only way.
He worked through the night, bypassing the broken section with a makeshift shunt of copper piping and desperate hope.
Effective immediately. All residential blocks are on a heat schedule. Priority goes to the medical tent and essential workers.
You are asking some people to survive on half heat. That means frostbite, maybe death. How do we decide who gets what?
The young and the elderly first. The sick get full heat. Able-bodied adults rotate on a fixed schedule. No exceptions.
That night, some dormitories plunged below 10 degrees, breath frosting on thin blankets, the cold reawakening old fears. A tiered system took shape. The medical bay at 22 degrees, the children's creche at 18, the workers' bunks at 12.
Resentment will fester. They'll call me a tyrant, but a dead settlement has no need of appearances.
And in the cold corners of the camp, the first murmurs of dissent began, a whisper that grew louder with every shiver. In the settlement square, the whispers became a shout. Form a council or face rebellion.
You've done enough alone, Kazu. We need a council that represents everyone, or we'll lose more than heat. We'll lose hope.
A council of 5. I keep the furnace. My tiebreaker vote stands. Or no deal.
The crowd voted in the frozen square, electing Yuki Speaker by a landslide. Ren, arms still bandaged, was appointed to security, a decision that many saw as a baited trap. The first council meeting was a taut wire stretched across a chasm.
Let me be clear. This council advises, but the furnace remains mine. I decide who gets how much heat.
So it's still your word, your rules. We're just a mask for your personal kingdom.
Yuki stayed silent, her eyes darting to the shadows as if expecting something. The balance was struck, but the weight of unspoken truths hung in the frozen air. That same night, Kazu's monitors picked up Yuki slipping out to the frozen outskirts where a cloaked figure pressed a note into her trembling hand. She read the note, then crushed it in her fist, her entire body shaking with silent sobs.
Yuki, I saw everything. Who was that figure? What did they give you?
They have my parents. They said they'd freeze them alive if I didn't damage the pump. The sabotage, that was me. I loosened the valve. I caused the overload. I am the traitor.
The tool marks, the timing, it all fits. She was under duress. But now I have to decide. Do I trust her again? Why didn't you come to me? I could have helped, instead of letting you carry this alone.
They watch everything. If I'd warned you, they'd have executed them and stormed our walls.
Then we get them back. We'll find out where they're held and bring them here. No more secrets.
Kazu turned away, fists clenched. The rescue would risk everything, but abandoning her family wasn't an option. Using geothermal survey maps, Kazu traced a hidden route through abandoned maintenance tunnels, a silent artery under the rival settlement.
We go at midnight. Ren, guard the escape route. Yuki, lead us to their holding cells.
And if we're caught, this is suicide without backup.
They crept through the heated tunnel network, the warm pipes humming with stolen life, until they reached the rusted bulkhead, separating them from the enemy. Through a narrow grate, Yuki saw her parents, haggard but alive, chained to a freezing radiator.
Mom, Dad, I am here. We're getting you out.
While they freed the captives, Kazu jammed a valve on the settlement's heat exchanger. redirecting the geothermal flow away from their grid. Alarms shrieked as the rival camp plunged into cold. Shadows chased them through the tunnels, but Ren's rifle held them at bay. They burst out into the frozen night. Yuki's parents bundled between them, the rival settlement a dark silhouette erupting with shouts. A voice howled from the darkness. "We'll find you, warm fortress. We'll bring you down." The seeds of revenge were sown in permafrost. The main pump fell silent. For the last time, a final shudder, then nothing. The settlement had 4 days of residual heat left.
The heat exchanger is scrap. We can't scavenge another. The only way is to drill deeper, straight into the geothermal vein below the permafrost.
That kind of drilling killed miners in the old world. Isn't there any other option?
I've run every simulation. Without a new source, everyone in this settlement freezes. I'll lead the first shift myself.
So we gamble everything on a hole we might not finish. Great. But if you are swinging a pick, I'll hold the rope.
They're following because I am in the dirt with them. Not because they believe, because they see me bleed. That's enough for now.
The shaft descended fast, pickaxes biting into frozen earth. The echo of each strike a countdown to extinction. Kazu worked the midnight shift, hands blistered, voice hoarse from shouting measurements to the surface crew.
You are running on fumes, Kazu. If you collapse, morale dies. Let someone else take over.
Morale D's when the heat stops. Keep them working. We're close to the vein. I can feel it in the steam.
The drill bit screamed through the last layer of rock, and a freezing underground lake erupted into the shaft. A young worker slipped from the ladder. His scream cut short as the torrent dragged him under. Kazu plunged into the black water without a thought, groping through the icy darkness until his fingers found a cold wrist. He surfaced gasping, dragging the limp body behind him, the workers' cheers dying in their throats. They burned the body on a pyre of frozen wood that night, the flames fighting against the endless cold.
His name was Taro. He died so we could live, and we will honor him by finishing this dig.
No one spoke. Yuki touched the boy's mother's shoulder, and the mother nodded, tears freezing on her cheeks. By dawn, the shaft was reinforced and drained. The work resumed, but every strike of the pickaxe echoed with loss. Kazu took up his hammer again, the blisters on his hands now torn and bleeding, his jaw set. The settlement now had two enemies, the cold that killed and the deadline that stole their dead. The drill punched through into a high-pressure geothermal reservoir, and a column of superheated steam erupted with a deafening roar. The steam flooded the system, spinning the turbines, and the main pump thundered back to life at triple the old output.
It's holding. The grid is stable. We have more power than ever before.
Cheers erupted in the settlement square as radiators hissed with a warmth they hadn't felt in weeks. Kazu stepped back from the controls, his legs buckling. The exhaustion of weeks crashed down, and the world tilted.
Kazu, someone help. He's completely spent.
They know the protocols. Yuki can handle the distribution. Ren can guard the pumps. I've done my part.
Before he lost consciousness, he appointed a council of technicians, Yuki, Ren, and 3 others, to manage the furnace in his stead. As he was carried to a cot, the settlement's new heartbeat thrummed through the pipes, a rhythm no longer dependent on one man. But on the horizon, a dark line of clouds gathered, a superstorm bearing down. The next trial already taking shape. Pressure sensors plummeted across the network, registering a drop that defied any known weather pattern. Scouts burst into the command post, frost-bitten and trembling, reporting the rival settlement was a graveyard of ice.
Get everyone underground. Now, the storm will eat anything on the surface.
The bunker can't hold everyone. How do we manage without crushing each other?
We'll find room. Better cramped and alive than spaced out in a frozen grave like them.
They reinforced the surface hatches with salvaged steel, welding the last seams as the wind began to howl. The rival settlements' frozen bodies lay as a warning. Nature was the only enemy that never negotiated. When the first gusts struck, the world dissolved into a white roar, the bunker trembling under the fury.
I built for cold, not a hurricane of ice, but it will hold. It has to.
They huddled in the dark, the only light the faint glow of the geothermal pipes, and waited. For 3 days the storm screamed, and then the world fell silent. They emerged to a white hell. The greenhouse was a collapsed skeleton of twisted beams and shattered glass.
Everything is frozen solid. The crops, the seed stalks, gone.
How much food do we have left? Reserves only. No fresh anything.
He ran the numbers in his head. 3 weeks at current consumption. Cut in half, maybe 6.
Effective immediately. 2 meals a day, half portions. No exceptions.
Half. The children and elderly will starve faster.
They'll starve faster if we run out in 3 weeks. I am sorry. This is the only way.
The announcement crackled through the PA, met with silence, then a low murmuring of fear. They had beaten the cold. But hunger was a slower, more intimate killer. On the 5th day of rationing, a storage bin was found pried open, a trail of crumbs leading to the shadows. A 10-year-old boy, ribs visible through his shirt, was dragged before Kazu with a sack of stolen bread.
He's just a child. But if we do nothing, every family will start hoarding.
Exile would kill him. Showing weakness will kill us all. Where's the line? You will work in the geothermal tunnels 12 hours a day until you've repaid every stolen gram.
Some in the crowd called for exile, others for leniency. The rift had never been so visible.
You've given him a chance, but they'll watch you now, waiting for the next betrayal.
They need to see justice, not vengeance. Maybe that will hold them together.
The boy was led away, tears freezing on his cheeks. The murmurs of the crowd didn't quiet. The food stores dwindled further. Kazu knew his mercy would be tested again. Soon, Kazu called the council into emergency session. His proposal was simple. Convert a section of the bunker into a sunless farm, heated by geothermal pipes.
It requires a 10% heat reduction to all living quarters. Without it, we starve.
You are asking people to sacrifice the one thing keeping them alive. They'll revolt.
Then we lead by example. I'll cut my own quarters first. The furnace is mine, and my tiebreaker stands.
He stepped into the settlement square, where the hungry and the desperate had gathered. The boiler hummed behind him, the symbol of his rule.
To grow food, we must cut heat. My room will be first. I'll freeze so you can eat. I decide who freezes. Today, I freeze with you.
The crowd's anger curdled into silence. Even the dissenters stood frozen, the weight of those words settling over them.
If you do this, I'll be the second. Ren, tell your security team to start the modifications.
The fortress stands together then. I'll make sure no one cheats the system.
By dawn, the first spade broke into the frozen floor of the bunker. The community dug together, their shared sacrifice, a fragile, beating heart. Under the purple glow of grow lights, the first green shoots emerged from the engineered soil. Tomatoes, beans, and spinach climbed toward the warmth, a tangible promise of survival.
Look at this. Fresh beans. We did it. We actually did it.
In the warmth of the medical bay, Yuki gave birth to a daughter, the first child born into the settlement.
They don't need a god of the furnace anymore. They need each other. The furnace is yours now. Respect the math, but never forget the hands that built it.
He stepped back from the controls, watching the settlement hum with life, not as a dictator, but as a founder.
She'll never know the cold. Because of you, Kazu.
The harvest feast was a quiet affair, not of excess, but of certainty. They would see another season. The fortress had outgrown its walls, and the man who held the furnaces no longer stood alone. Years later, an old man walked the steam-warmed streets of the settlement. Children darted past him, chasing each other, their laughter echoing off the heated walls. He paused by a pipe, resting a wrinkled hand on the warm metal.
This heat flows through every home, every heart. It was never mine alone.
The geothermal network hummed beneath them, a shared heartbeat they had built together. He smiled, a silent thank you to the hands that had dug the tunnels and planted the seeds. No longer a fortress for one, but a home for many, a testament to survival. He turned, walking slowly, a man at peace with the world he had forged from ice. The sun broke over the frozen wasteland, glinting off the steam columns. And in the warmth he had given away, life continued, undefeated.